Palm Beach, Florida, summer of 2000. A 16-year-old girl is told there's a job waiting for her. Something simple: towels, phones, maybe reception at a resort. By sundown, she is inside a mansion on El Brillo Way, alone with a man 3 times her age. Her name is Virginia Roberts. Over the next 4 years, she has moved across 3 continents: private jets, townhouses, a Caribbean island most people will never see. Then she does what no one expects. She talks, not to journalists, to federal courts, under oath, for 16 years. In January 2024, a judge unseals 943 pages of her testimony. The world expects a reckoning. What it gets is something worse. This story does not begin in a courtroom. It does not begin in a sealed federal filing. It begins in the sun. Palm Beach, Florida is a place built on the appearance of order. White stucco walls, hedges trimmed to mathematical precision, iron gates that open silently and close without sound. The kind of town where every surface gleams and nobody asks where the money comes from. Mar-a-Lago sits on the southern tip of the island. 126 rooms, a private beach club, a spa. In the summer of 2000, a 16-year-old girl named Virginia Roberts is working near the pool area. She doesn't belong to this world. Her father handles maintenance at the resort. She's been bouncing between low-wage jobs since dropping out of school. This one feels like it might last. One afternoon, a woman approaches her. British accent, polished, warm in a way that feels rehearsed. Her name is Ghislaine Maxwell. She came up to me at Mar-a-Lago and said she knew a wealthy man who was looking for a personal masseuse. I thought it was a real job. Virginia says yes. She's 16. Someone is offering real money for what sounds like legitimate work. Maxwell drives her to a house on El Brillo Way, a quiet residential street in Palm Beach. The house belongs to Jeffrey Epstein, a financier whose fortune has no clear source, a man whose social circle stretches across continents, a name that means nothing to Virginia Roberts. What happens inside that house follows a pattern. It has been described in depositions, victim impact statements, and court filings with enough consistency to reconstruct a system. A massage is requested. Boundaries are erased. The girl is made to understand what the job actually requires. Virginia does not leave. Not that day. Not for 4 years. What follows is not a single crime by a single man. It is infrastructure. Virginia is moved. New York City, a townhouse on the Upper East Side. The U.S. Virgin Islands, a private island called Little St. James. London, Paris. The transportation is private jets. The scheduling is handled by staff. The girls are rotated like inventory. During those years, Virginia is in rooms with powerful men. Men whose names appear on magazine covers and donor lists. Men who visit the island, who attend the dinners, who are present in spaces where young girls are also present. She doesn't understand the significance yet, but she is absorbing details, names, faces, dates, locations, that will take 2 decades to enter the public record. In 2002, Virginia meets a man named Robert Giuffre. She makes a choice. She flies to Australia, marries, builds a life as far from Palm Beach as the map allows. But the files, the ones that will carry her name, her testimony, and everything she witnessed under oath, those don't exist yet. What Virginia does next takes 16 years. And when it finally works, when 943 pages finally see daylight, what's inside them is not what anyone expects. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe. Now, back to Palm Beach. 10,000 miles from Florida, Virginia Roberts becomes Virginia Giuffre. A husband, children, a house in Australia. Silence. The kind of quiet that feels like safety, until you realize it's just distance. But Palm Beach is not done with Jeffrey Epstein. In 2005, a mother picks up the phone. Her 14-year-old daughter has come home from a mansion on El Brillo Way with $300 in cash, and a story that makes the mother's hands shake as she dials the police. Palm Beach Police Department opens an investigation. What they find is not one girl. It is dozens. Different schools, different neighborhoods, the same mansion, the same routine. Massage, escalation, cash on the dresser. Detective Joseph Recarey compiles a case file so thick it demands federal attention. The FBI takes over. Agents identify 36 victims. 36 minors funneled through a system so organized it resembles a supply chain, with recruiters, schedulers, and a logistics network spanning state lines. The evidence is not ambiguous. In any ordinary prosecution, this ends one way. This is not an ordinary prosecution. In 2007, U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta enters negotiations with Epstein's defense team, a team that includes former federal prosecutors, a Harvard law professor, and attorneys who bill more per hour than Virginia's father earned in a week. What emerges defies comprehension. Epstein pleads guilty to a single state charge, soliciting a minor. Not federal trafficking, not conspiracy, a state solicitation charge. The legal language reframes a trafficking operation as a transaction, as if a 14-year-old can consent. The sentence, 13 months in the Palm Beach County stockade, not a federal prison, a county jail. With work release 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, Epstein leaves the facility to sit in a private office in downtown West Palm Beach. But the sentence is not the worst of it. Buried in the plea agreement is a clause that most people will not learn about for another decade. A secret non-prosecution agreement. It grants federal immunity not only to Epstein, but to any and all potential co-conspirators. No names are listed, no identities are disclosed. A federal prosecutor has placed a legal shield around every person in Epstein's network, and he has done it without telling a single victim. In Australia, Virginia Giuffre learns about the deal through the news. 13 months. Work release. Solicitation. They called it solicitation. I was 16. That's not solicitation. That's trafficking. In 2009, Virginia joins a lawsuit under the Crime Victims' Rights Act. The argument is plain. Federal law requires that victims be consulted before a plea agreement is finalized. Not one victim was consulted. Not one was told that unnamed co-conspirators were being granted immunity. Virginia Giuffre has a choice. Stay quiet in Australia, raise her children, let the distance do its work. Or walk into a courtroom and say every name she remembers. She chooses the courtroom. A liar. That is the word Ghislaine Maxwell uses. Not in private, not through sealed legal filings. In public, in press statements, through attorneys, in language calibrated to erase 20 years of testimony before it reaches a courtroom. Virginia Giuffre's response is not a press conference. It is a lawsuit. 2015, she files a civil defamation suit against Ghislaine Maxwell in the Southern District of New York. The claim is straightforward. Maxwell publicly called her a liar, and Virginia intends to prove otherwise under oath. Lawsuits require discovery. Discovery requires depositions. And depositions, sworn testimony, recorded by a court reporter, carrying the weight of perjury if any word is false, are where this story cracks open. Virginia Giuffre sits for her deposition, and she talks. Names, dates, cities, specific encounters in specific rooms. She describes being taken to men whose faces appear on magazine covers and cable news panels. She provides testimony about Prince Andrew, encounters she says took place in London, New York, and on the island. She names Alan Dershowitz, the Harvard law professor who helped craft Epstein's 2008 plea deal, and who Virginia alleges was himself a participant in the network. She names Jean-Luc Brunel, a French modeling agent she says recruited girls across Europe. She describes Bill Clinton's presence on Epstein's private plane and at the island, though she does not allege direct misconduct by Clinton. Each name is recorded. Each date is logged. Each location enters the permanent record. I was trafficked to powerful men. I was told to do whatever they wanted. This is the most detailed sworn testimony ever given about the internal architecture of Epstein's operation. It is specific, it is extensive, and it names people who, at this point, have never been publicly tied to the network. Maxwell's legal team moves immediately. They argue the depositions contain private information, unproven allegations that could destroy reputations. The court agrees. The documents are sealed. Every word Virginia spoke under oath disappears behind a court order. In 2017, Giuffre versus Maxwell settles. The terms are confidential. The lawyers go home. The case file closes. And 943 pages of sworn testimony. Names, dates, locations. The internal wiring of an international trafficking network, described under oath by one of its survivors, sit locked in a federal vault. No one can read them. No one can cite them. No one can use them to build a criminal case. For the public, these pages simply do not exist. They stay sealed for 3 years. Then a reporter in Miami decides to look at a completely different set of documents. The story has been hiding in plain sight for a decade. Police reports sitting in filing cabinets, victim statements gathering dust, court records accessible to anyone who knows where to look. All of it public, none of it assembled. Julie K. Brown is a reporter at the Miami Herald. She is not looking at sealed files. She is looking at the documents everyone already has access to, and she is putting them together. Her series is called Perversion of Justice. It runs in November 2018, and it does something no prior coverage managed. It lays out, piece by piece, how 36 identified victims of a federal trafficking investigation were denied their legal rights, how a U.S. attorney negotiated in secret with the defense, how a billionaire served 13 months in a county jail with work release privileges for crimes that carry mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years. None of the facts are new, but the way Brown connects them, clearly, methodically, with the victims' voices at the center, makes them impossible to ignore. The series detonates. Alexander Acosta is now serving as the United States Secretary of Labor. His role in the 2008 plea deal is no longer a footnote in a Palm Beach case file. It is a national scandal. The story that emerged was worse than anyone imagined, and it had been sitting in public records the entire time. July 6, 2019. Jeffrey Epstein steps off a private jet at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. He is returning from Paris. Federal agents meet him on the tarmac. The Southern District of New York charges him with trafficking conspiracy. The indictment describes a pattern spanning years. Dozens of minor victims recruited, harmed, and discarded through a network operating across multiple states. Epstein is denied bail. He is sent to the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, a federal facility that has held terrorists, cartel bosses, and organized crime kingpins. August 10, 2019. Guards conducting a check find Jeffrey Epstein unresponsive in his cell. He is pronounced dead shortly after. The medical examiner rules that he took his own life. 2 surveillance cameras outside his cell malfunctioned that night. Both guards assigned to his unit fell asleep and later admitted to falsifying logs showing they conducted required checks. His cellmate had been transferred out days earlier, leaving him alone in a cell designed for 2. The circumstances shatter public trust in a way that never fully repairs. Questions multiply overnight. But the medical examiner's finding stands. The federal investigation concludes he died by his own hand. Whatever else may or may not have happened inside that cell, one fact is beyond dispute. Jeffrey Epstein will never face a jury. Acosta resigns from the cabinet. The pressure to unseal Virginia's depositions, the Giuffre versus Maxwell files, builds to a roar. June 2020. FBI agents locate Ghislaine Maxwell at a secluded property in Bradford, New Hampshire. She has been hiding for nearly a year. She is arrested and charged with trafficking conspiracy, enticement of minors, and perjury. December 2021. Maxwell stands trial in the Southern District of New York. Survivors testify. The jury convicts her on 5 of 6 federal counts. The judge sentences her to 20 years in prison. The operators are done. Epstein is gone. Maxwell is behind bars. The people who built and ran the machine have been stopped. But the 943 pages from the civil case, the sworn depositions where Virginia named the clients, the witnesses, the participants, remain sealed. The system has prosecuted the people who ran the operation. It has not touched the people who used it. Through 2022 and 2023, the legal fight to unseal grinds forward. Attorneys for unnamed individuals fight to keep their clients' names buried. Media organizations file motions arguing public interest. The court weighs privacy against transparency, reputation against accountability. In late 2023, Judge Loretta Preska issues her ruling. The files will be released. All of them. Almost. January 3rd, 2024. The first batch goes live. 943 pages. Uploaded to federal court servers. Accessible to anyone with an internet connection and the patience to read legal filings. Within minutes, names appear on social media. Within hours, they are trending on every platform on Earth. Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Alan Dershowitz, politicians, academics, entertainers, businessmen. The names cascade through Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, cable news. A rolling wave of recognition and outrage, and the electric certainty that something has finally changed. The internet declares victory. The powerful have been exposed. The client list is out. Except it isn't. Read the documents, not the headlines, not the tweets, not the TikToks with red circles and dramatic music. The actual pages. What the public expects is a client list, a clean, definitive roster of every powerful man who participated in Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking network. A document that assigns names to crimes. A single file that brings the whole system down. What the documents actually contain is civil discovery from a settled defamation lawsuit, deposition transcripts, scheduling references, flight log excerpts, testimony given by Virginia Giuffre and others during Giuffre versus Maxwell, a case that ended in a confidential settlement 7 years ago. And most of the names that trend on January 3rd are not new. The Miami Herald published them, court filings referenced them, survivors named them in interviews. Journalists have been writing these names for years. The bombshell that breaks the internet in January 2024 is, for anyone who followed the case closely, a confirmation of what was already known. But what is genuinely new is granularity. Specific dates linking specific individuals to specific locations. Corroborating testimony from multiple witnesses. The cumulative weight of sworn statements that elevate years of newspaper allegations into a legal record. But here is what no one talks about in the first 72 hours of social media frenzy. Hundreds of passages are blacked out, entire paragraphs redacted, lines of testimony obscured by black bars, names replaced with court-ordered pseudonyms. Doe 107, Doe 110, Doe 147. Legal placeholders for individuals whose identities the judge determined must remain concealed. Some may be victims whose privacy requires protection. Some may be witnesses, and some, perhaps, may be names that would fundamentally alter the public's understanding of this entire case. There is no way to know. That is the point. Virginia Giuffre's 16-year legal war has produced documents. In February 2022, she settled her civil lawsuit against Prince Andrew for a reported £12 million. Andrew made no admission of wrongdoing. In 2024, she drops her case against Alan Dershowitz. He claims vindication. She offers no public explanation for why. The Department of Justice has effectively shuttered its Epstein-related investigations. No new criminal charges emerge from the unsealed pages. No grand juries are convened. No arrests are made. The 943 pages sit in the public record, and the federal government treats them as a closed matter. My goal has always been to show that no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. Virginia Giuffre said that. She endured depositions, cross-examinations, public attacks on her credibility, confidential settlements, and the full weight of legal teams bankrolled by some of the wealthiest people on the planet. She fought for 16 years to force these pages into the light. She won. The testimony is on the record. The names are out. The dates and locations and sworn statements are available for anyone to read. And the distance between unsealed and accountability turns out to be a canyon. 943 pages confirm what survivors said for decades. They confirm the network existed. They confirm the logistics. They confirm the names. They confirm that powerful men moved through the orbit of a convicted trafficker with regularity and ease, and that no one stopped them. Nothing has changed. No new prosecutions. Hundreds of redactions. No numbers stamped where names should be. The most detailed testimony ever given about the most powerful trafficking network in modern history sits in the public record. Everyone can read it. The pages are open. The names are still blacked out. 943 pages, hundreds of redactions, 0 new arrests. If this story made you think or made you angry, drop a comment. Who do you think Doe 107 is? And if you want more stories the official record doesn't want you to piece together, subscribe. The next one goes deeper.